Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the Commando Laser mod, which is being made by user jcruz05. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is an absolutely wonderful new laser rifle for you to play with. And what makes it even better is that, well, this weapon is based off of one that was seen in the old G.I. Joe cartoons, which is awesome. I loved those when I was a kid, so seeing this rifle in the game now, pretty fun. Plus, I just do always enjoy when we get some more energy weapons in Fallout. So let's jump on over here and have a look at what exactly we are getting with the Commando Laser, which in its most basic and standard form will do 35 energy damage using a microfusion cell with a firing rate of 34, range of 203, accuracy of 81 for a weight of 5.7. Not too bad there at all, and as you can see, it is a beautiful looking gun, which I gotta admit, when I was actually scrolling through the Nexus looking for something to do, I saw the gun and went, why does that look familiar? And then jumped into the page and saw the whole G.I. Joe thing. I was like, oh, I remember that. So of course that's why we're here. Good old nostalgia. Well, besides that, you can see it's a pretty good looking gun, very nice in the texturing and modeling, and plenty of good modifications. Now, it's nothing too wacky in here, but you'll find things to, change up a lot of stats, up the damage to a pretty decent amount, and, even some aesthetic issues, or aesthetic mods, which are always nice to see. But overall, it's a pretty good gun that I find myself very much enjoying in the game. So as for how you do get your hands on one of these, well, it's pretty darn simple. What you do, first and foremost, is you need some DLCs. This does require the Automatron, Far Harbor, and the Nuka World DLCs. Once you've got those installed, which, I mean, come on, by this time, you probably should by now, you'll be able to find one of these in the world, well, actually, technically two, in a duffel bag outside of a crashed van that's north of Electrical Hobbyist Club. And I quite like that because even though this was of course a G.I. Joe laser gun, the in-lore reason for this to exist is that Watts Electronics made this thing to try and take away some military contracts from General Atomics with their laser weapons, and this was their prototype that they were transporting. So you find a duffel bag there next to the van that'll have one of these semi-auto and one of these full auto within it. Then the van itself also is packed full of military crates, and when you do click that, you're gonna get a nice little UI pop-up that then tells you how else you might find this gun in the game. If you want it to be that rare prototype, the first option is to just allow you to build it with a blueprint at any chemistry station in the world, of course. Or you can select one of the factions of the Commonwealth to also have this gun, which I think is pretty neat. So you can either just have it for yourself as a rare weapon or start seeing it in the leveled loot list. Always nice. And beyond that, there is also one unique found out there in the world. Always good to have. Now, I have one minor issue with this particular modded gun, and it's a really stupid small issue that, frankly, most of you probably don't care about. You'll see that my normal setup for these mod videos is not how it typically is, and that's because, for whatever reason, you can't put the Commando Laser gun onto a weapon rack. I don't know why. So, thus the not typical display. Well, let's go ahead and grab my two modified ones that we'll take a look at here in a moment. And over to the workbench to take a look at our Commando Laser, and starting, of course, with the capacitor category, which is pretty typical of a laser gun. You've got the standard to beta wave boosted photon agitator, all the way on up to an overcharged capacitor, which is going to add you some pretty decent damage, and that, of course, as usual, is damage before adding any additional perks to the game. So, yeah, not too shabby, and we can make it even better with some other mods. Now, then the barrel category, we've either got the standard semi, an automatic barrel, or a charging barrel, so this thing basically works like a Gauss gun, which is pretty cool. Now then, the stocks, we've got the light stock, standard, full stock, and marksman stock. Then in the Fusion Cell category, this is another small issue I have, and we've seen this in other mods before, where sometimes for whatever reason, when you're in the gun, you don't see all the options. So if I go to one of my modded ones, there we go, and go to the Fusion Cell category, you'll see we have 3 now rather than 2. And we've got the optimized fusion cell, which is higher capacity, perfect for automatics, the standard. And then an unstable fusion cell, which you can see bumps up the damage quite extensively, and also adds 10 radiation damage. So yeah, quite nice there. Now next to the scope category, we've got the standard, glow, laser, small and large reflex, my favorite, the combat sight, fiber optic hollow sight, then short, medium, and long scopes, along with night vision and recon versions of those, which is also always good to see. And then finally, we've got the aesthetic category, where we've got the standard issue. My personal favorite, the trial run. I love having the Watts logo there and the sort of like caution tape thing. Very nice. And finally, the two-tone, if you want just that classic sort of military feel. But yeah, all in all, some pretty good modifications. Let's take a look at this thing in practice and pull out our standard issue one with its 16 rounds and fire. And there we go. Pretty decent gun to shoot. It does have a bit of kick, but not a huge amount, which I always find weird with laser rifles anyways. But I gotta admit, I really like the iron sights on this thing. So many guns, especially with energy weapons, even with the base game, want to make it look more sci-fi of an iron sight. So I love that this is just kind of like, you know, a standard iron sight there, which is very nice, like very visible, easy to use. I do quite enjoy it. Always good to have. Now, a good reload animation on there. The sound, of course, though, is the standard in-game sound. Now then, let's go to my tactical automatic one, only doing 55 damage, which doesn't sound like much, but it has ever so slightly more than twice the fire rate, so it actually ends up having a pretty decent DPS compared to my highest single shot damage one I could make here of that 113 and 10. So, yeah, quite nice, quite nice. So, let's use the automatic. Nice combat scope, and fire. So I can see, even with the, you know, the 34 rounds that we've got from that different fusion cell, boy, it is a little bit hard to control. Those 34 shots are causing a fair amount of kick, and that kind of goes a little bit all over the place. The standard gun tends to kind of move to the right and up. This one is kind of everywhere, so I don't know, but, you know, still not too shabby at all. And then, of course, we've got the overcharged one here, which actually is also using the charging barrel. So we can actually use it like a Gauss rifle and hold it down and fire. Nice. And, of course, a good solid scope. Very good. All right, there we go. Only 4 rounds using, of course, that the highest tier fusion cell thing. But, you know, not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. And I, of course, do love anything with that charge damage. So let's go take a look at this thing in practice against our typical friend, the Deathclaw, which I haven't tried killing with one of these yet, so, well, let's see how that goes. We'll start with the high power one, though I actually think the automatic's gonna end up going better just because of its DPS. You know, this is a much slower gun, especially with the charge. I mean, if we could get shots on his head or chest, it's, you know, not too bad. We just 3 shots, almost half his health down. But, yeah, I think the automatic's gonna just blow it out of the water DPS-wise. Come back, Deathclaw, I wish to play a little more. There we go. Oh, no, you kind of went back for a little bit. And, oh, reloading. But yeah, we did actually quite good damage on him with that. So finish him off here. Take that, Deathclaw. Haha, he's been ashed. Nice, love it. All right, so there you go. That is the Commando Laser gun. I really do like this thing, and for more than just because it is a G.I. Joe weapon, which, I mean, that is awesome. But it is also just a nice addition, and I think the style of the gun fits in with the Fallout aesthetic, and again, it's always nice seeing more energy weapons. So if you'd like to see this mod for yourself, which I'd certainly recommend you go and do, you can have a look at the link in the description of the video, as always. But that, my friends, is going to be it for this one. Hopefully you have enjoyed and you do come back for whatever mod we look at next. But until that time, thank you for watching, and as always, well, have a good one.